please put your hands together now. Join me in welcoming the remarkable Aaron Victor, a true catalyst for transformation and proof that anyone can rewrite their story starting today. Aaron Victor, y'all.
For all my note takers, we're going to keep it pushing because I know y'all want to know. You can just put this in your notes. We're going to title this called Distorted Vision. Yeah, Distorted Vision. And so what I want us to be able to start thinking through, and what made me think of this, and actually, I'm going to get ready to show it. Some of y'all seen it online, but it's true. They weren't props. Your boy's wearing glasses now. Yeah. Because here's the thing. As tall as I am and as low as that is, I might not be able to see my notes. I just want to tell the truth. I wanted to tell the truth to y'all this evening. And because this is Legends Only night, y'all close enough that y'all not distorted. Praise God and amen. All right, I just want to let y'all know these is real. Your boy needs to see. But what happened a few years ago, I remember going to the eye doctor, and I remember her kind of laughing at me afterwards. And I'm like, what you laughing at? Yo, I think I have an issue. She was like, oh, you've had really, really, really good vision. I said, I have. She's like, it's okay. You're just about 20/20 right now, but you'll need to come see me later. Well, a couple months ago, didn't go see that lady, but need to go see somebody else. Because I found myself doing one of my dad's tricks. And it was slightly irritating me that I was having the phone and we doing this. You know, being a dude 6'8", my arms weren't long enough, we knew we were having a problem. You know, get up in the middle of the night and you squinting because it's like, oh, I just need time for my eyes to refocus, and they never refocus. Okay, I'm just want a couple people gonna talk to me like I'm not up here by myself. But what happened is I'm going, I have an issue that maybe now from what she told me years ago is now up on me. So instead of being a man, well, ain't nothing wrong with me, we good, I don't need to check in, I got it, I booked the appointment. And as they look, they say, oh, you can still see far away, but sir, that computer messing all your little stuff up, you can't see nothing close. Okay. And they went to go through the process of prescribing me something customized for my situation. And when they prescribed something specific for my situation, it gave me the ability to go from seeing things fuzzy and cloudy to then seeing them clear. How did I know I was able to start seeing things clear? When I first looked at my phone after I got my glasses, I thought that I had turned the brightness up on my phone. I said, I ain't seen my phone this clear ever. Oh, I didn't realize how much I've been missing. And many of us are walking around in this space because we either have gotten used to it, we found workarounds with it, and we position ourselves in such a way that we've gotten used to carrying something that we weren't meant to carry. We put ourselves in a position where we begin to think that is just okay, this is just the way it is. We've begun to relegate our situation to, hey, I'm going to find a verse in the Bible. I'm going to find a way to just be okay because other people have it worse than me. But the fallacy of that thinking is that once I made the appointment to go to the doctor and gave them the ability to do what they are specialized at, they gave me something customized for my situation that cleared up what was once fuzzy, now it's clear. And so many of us have this space where we want to be able to navigate that we like to stay fuzzy because being fuzzy means that I'm in control. And the ability to stay in control but walking around life fuzzy doesn't allow for you to see things clearly in the way in which God ultimately intended. And so when we begin to kind of start peeling some things back, what happens when we get a chance to see some things clear? So I want us to think about this. I want us to think about first, some of us have gotten used to, I've talked about this on Wednesdays, but I want to say it a different way. Many of us have gotten comfortable with changing our perspective and getting the high or dopamine hit off of getting a good word, good encouragement, but still going back to where we came from. And so we are comfortable with the level of awareness to know that there is an issue, but we're not willing to fix the issue. Knowing the cause does not constitute a cure. And many of us have gotten comfortable because, see, for me, I was comfortable with my eyes and my vision because I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew that she wasn't gaslighting me, because when the first doctor told me your vision is moving a little fuzzy, but you're going to be okay, it relieved the stress I was having. The awareness made me feel a little bit lighter, but yet the awareness did not allow for me to walk in a solution. It just gave me a burden that I knew something was coming. And see, many of us are walking around like I was with distorted vision because it puts me in a position where I'm aware of the situation, which that gives me the hit and the high to know that whenever I want to make the decision to change it, I can. But the thing happened, years go by, I didn't change it, and I needed things to fix it. So many of us have to move ourselves from not just walking around, but what we can control, what we can walk around and actually be okay with, but begin to walk around with a level of clarity and understanding that where I am isn't necessarily where I'm supposed to be. So again, knowing the cause doesn't constitute the cure. We'll say it this way. Many of us know, when it comes to our health, that I probably need to get moving. I probably need to eat better. But just because you know the habits and the things they're putting together don't mean that you still not overweight, your diabetes is running, your blood pressure is up, and you're running out of breath when you get up the top of the stairs. Just because you know what to do don't mean that you're healthy, because I got it in my head, and anytime I get ready, I'm good. Okay, well, maybe we have this situation where we want to say, Lord, I need you to bless me with more money. But the problem is, you need to be better with your spending, turn the credit cards off, maybe eat more at the house and stop going out to eat. But because you know what to do doesn't mean that you're a better financial steward. Or let me talk to y'all. Like, some of y'all in the head, I got that. I'm healthy, I'm walking, I'm on my treadmill, I eat good, I'm intermittent fasting. I ain't got no money problems, I'm good. But I bet you got this one, because the two women before me talked about it. Y'all overthinking. Y'all procrastinating. And because you have now gotten the label of overthinking, procrastination, and perfectionism, it doesn't mean that because you have the plan that now you're an executor or a person of action. And as long as we are comfortable with working around what can be alleviated, we'll continue to find ourselves looking for another conference, another moment, another word, another space, and we'll still continue to keep seeing through distorted lenses. So when we look through distorted lenses, when we look through these spaces that we have gotten comfortable walking around with, it's this condition that my brother and I have been talking about for a few weeks that we call spiritual dysmorphia. Yep, spiritual dysmorphia. What is spiritual dysmorphia? It is the inability to see yourself as God created you. It is the obsessive concern or the fixation over a perceived flaw as though it was true. And that fixation, that obsession with a perceived flaw that nobody else can see, causes you to live your life in the lie. So when we look at this, we know that this is happening. I talked about it in my book. This is why my sister is, for some people, annoying. It's loving. She calls me big time because there was a moment in my life that I was obsessively focused on a perceived flaw that it needed the frequency of some additional words to turn that volume off and to turn the other one up. The obsessive perspective and view that I had of myself forced my brother that I talked about in the book in chapter 12 to ask one question that shattered my whole perspective. He said, "Do you want to get better?" And that simple question forced me to ask myself, do I want to fight for my limitations, or do I want to change and to begin to see myself as God had created me? But through the lens of spiritual dysmorphia, what does it do? It gives you the ability to carry things you weren't meant to carry. It gives you the ability to hold on to things that you're supposed to let go. It continues to allow for you to burn out, to be frustrated, and then you wonder why you then sit back and say, I'm not ready. I'm just going to sit here and wait for my moment. And now we're perfectionists, overthinkers, and procrastinators. It is this over-obsessive focus on a perceived flaw that is not true. So then we go. What is the antidote? What is the cure to spiritual dysmorphia? 3 things. It is God's truth, God's love, God's people. Y'all have already heard it tonight. All I'm doing is summarizing what these women said before me. It is God's truth, God's love, God's people. So for those who want to go back, as you've been encouraged by both of them, I might as well do it too. Put this in your notes to go back into your devotion time. I got some stuff for you to write down and go read. Because like my sister, I didn't do what Dr. Joy did. Didn't have my Bible here, but I do got notes, okay? Do got notes. So God's truth. Here's 3 scriptures for you to go back and focus on. Genesis 1:20 and 1 and 26. Psalms 139:14. Jeremiah 1 and 5. I'll say them again. Genesis 1:26. Psalms 139 and 14. And Jeremiah 1 and 5. God's truth. God's truth is that we were created in his likeness and image. Therefore, that the very DNA of the one who put the world in place and rested on the 7th day looked at us in creation and said that we were good, that we were created in that image. That's truth. David understood, the psalmist understood in Psalms 139, he says, I praise you for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are the works of your hands. That is God's truth. Then God speaks to Jeremiah and says, I knew you before the foundation of the world. That is God's truth. So what disconnects us from God's truth? Because many of us have been mishandled. Many of us have been fumbled. Many of us have been taken advantage of, and we believe that the external environments, though people couldn't handle the beauty of the inheritance, changes the value in which God created you with. The external environment does not change the internal and divine value. It is God's truth that you were perfect before you got here. You were complete when you got here. There was nothing else that needed to be added to you when you got here. So though people, and let me say it this way, we've seen it, rich folks, you know, some of us been around on the block where old mother down the street took care of her house, took care of her lawn real nice, and then her grandkids or her kids got it, the house to run down and the fence toe up and everything going bad. Grandmama left them a nice little piece of money, and all of a sudden they broke and everything else. Because they had an inheritance. They were given something they did not have to earn. It was given to them. It was a gift. And without the proper stewardship and understanding the responsibility of the gift, you will mishandle it, you will fumble it, you will destroy it. And many of us are living in a space and living with the wounds of people who did the best they could but didn't know what to do with what they had. But that does not nullify God's truth. Then we go God's love. God's love is the understanding his faithfulness and his consistency to you. How do we know that? Here we go again. John 3:16, if you want to look at that. 1 Corinthians 13. 1 John 4:18. Say them again. John 3:16. 1 Corinthians 13. 1 John 4:18. And one of the things that I want us to understand with John 3:16, we know it, we quote it, but we've made it so cultural that we miss it. We make it so cultural that we say it, that we go, yeah, I got it. But we miss that love is giving your best. Love is giving from a space of sacrifice. And so if he loved you enough to give you his best and sacrifice his only, then what does that say about you? Yes, I know I may have made some mistakes, but then Paul tells the church that love is patient, love is kind. Love is not envious. Love does not insist on its own way. Love keeps no record of wrong. But many of us, because we struggle with handling the love, because people mishandled us and fumbled us, that we've allowed for the external environment to change the internal value, that we insist on our limitations. We insist on keeping records of wrong that continues to make us feel disconnected from God's love. So when we look at the power of God's love, I love how John says it. He didn't say that it asked for a conversation. He didn't say that we gonna reason together and collaborate. He says that a perfect love casts out all fear. That it tells the fear where it goes. The fear doesn't get to tell God where his love lives. And many of us struggle with the fact of receiving the love because we want to have a space where we keep our limitations. We want to have a space where we keep our sob story, but we want God's love. The two cannot exist together because what you choose to believe about you is what you choose to believe about him. If you believe that you're a mistake, then you don't believe that God is perfect. And this is why it is important for my last piece to the antidote to spiritual dysmorphia is the fact that you need God's people. And I know Detroit, Philly, Dallas, Baltimore, whatever hood you want to talk about, we about that life. Joy said it earlier, black is black. You want to smoke, I got time. And what has happened is that we've been mishandled, we've been fumbled, we've been disappointed, we've been frustrated, and at the point that we're emotionally and spiritually burned out, that is distorting the lens in which we see people through, and all of a sudden we say, I'm just better by myself. I'm going to be cool with me, mine, and ours. But it's impossible for you to experience the love of God, to be able to see the God that loves you, the very divinity and the things that's created when you stay in isolation. Simple. This one don't even have to be deep. Why is it important to be connected to God's people? Yes, the right people is because you already know what you know. So it's hard for you to actually do something different with the same knowledge you got in your head. This one's simple. In order for billions of dollars to come out of a billionaire's hands, you need to go talk to somebody who got billions of dollars. And many of us, because of this hyper independence, this persistent protection, this I ain't got time to be wasting myself with people, it leaves you in a space of isolation, and you are now playing not on God's ground, you're playing on the enemy's ground. Because the enemy lives in isolation, not intimacy. There's a difference. See, there's a level of intimacy that you need to have with God, so he shows you the discernment that's necessary to be connected with the right people. But many of us haven't moved into intimacy. We move into isolation because we're protecting and not asking questions. And what I wrote in chapter 12 of my book is I knew I was in trouble and I had to call for help. My sister can tell you where she was when I left that message. Adam can tell you where he was when they heard my message. Because without God's people, I'm not standing here. Without God's people, I don't see that there's an opportunity to get out of what I was in. And I still would be navigating with this obsessive focus on a perceived flaw and living the weight of a lie. So the distorted lens has put us in a position where we burn out, we crashing out, we frustrated. We're trying to be comfortable and complacent in a space in which God is calling us to do something different. That's why you all made the point to be here. There was this insistence that I had to get here. There was no other option for me to waste to not be in this presence with these people in this moment, in this time. So the question we got to ask ourselves is, what do we do different? If you got nothing else out the weekend and we just starting, Dr. Joy, my sister, and I have now said enough. We've said enough, so we have to then ask ourselves the question, what am I missing that keeps me disconnected from God's truth, God's love, and God's people? What is the obstacle that's in place that is keeping me from being connected to God's truth, God's love, and God's people? Because when you're connected to the right person, since we want to give biblical examples, let's go ahead and walk through it. I want to understand what happens if Moses doesn't have Aaron. One of the greatest prophets ever to be written about that we talk about thousands of years later, he was better because he was connected with Aaron. Or let's talk about this. Dr. A talked about it, so let's talk about it. Dr. Joy talked about it. Let's talk about these two. What about Joshua and Caleb? Now, what I believe that we miss with these two, and just go with my holy imagination. So, the thing we don't talk about enough with Joshua and Caleb, and we're going to use what Dr. Joy said, let's just say I believe it's going to take 2 weeks. These blessed men of God had to wait 40 years to get what they could have got in 2 weeks. Huh? And we never see in the scriptures where they complain, and God was faithful enough to give them each other to get to the promise. See, some of y'all see it. Some of y'all know it. But you're not connected with another person that believes it. And at some point, I would love to believe in my divine imagination that when Joshua wanted to quit and be frustrated, Caleb said, we got it. When Caleb wanted to be frustrated and quit, Joshua said, we got it. And all of a sudden, they looked up, and now Moses dies, and God tells Joshua, be strong and of good courage. Okay. Let me talk to some of y'all that are a little older, seasoned. I don't even put it on gray hair because I got them. But let's talk about Naomi and Ruth. And I hear the mothers. I hear them. And as I get a little older, they won't call me Unc. I guess we got it. Auntie, we got that too. Listen. You're trying to dismiss the kids from being connected to you, but they saying, I see what God has done with you. I see what God is doing through you. There's something about you I need to be connected to. So your God is my God. Where you go, I go. And you're too busy trying to get rid of them when they need to be attached to you for you and them to get what God has put together. That's the antidote of God's people, because them being together gets to show you that there's nothing missing in you in this season of your life. You got everything you need. Okay, some of y'all feel like you're trapped. Maybe it's the job. Your boss is on your nerves. You're like, ooh, I really want to tell him and her about themselves. Maybe feel like you're trapped. But here's what I do believe. That Paul and Silas give an example. They were together. They were in jail. They were in prison. They were finding a way to do the right thing, but find themselves in an improper or unintended circumstance. But instead of them being frustrated, instead of them cussing and complaining, they happen to begin to start praising, connected together, and begin to shake the very foundation that opened up the jail cell they were in. Some of y'all still in prison because you ain't connected with the right person. And when you share your story, they're waiting for an opportunity to say, you two, let us praise together. You two, let us do this together. You two, let us put our 2 nickels together and watch us make some beautiful things happen. This is what they're waiting for, but we're too busy trying to be disconnected as opposed to being connected with each other. But y'all say, hey, I don't really like that one-on-one space. Aaron, what else you got? I got the last one. If don't do it, come back tomorrow. Just if this one don't do it, God bless. I don't know what to do tonight. We got to pray a little harder in the morning and figure it out. But then we got the Acts 2 church. They said that they were all together, so no need went unmet. Huh? They were in one place with one mind, waiting vigilantly together, and then God shows up like a violent wind. The move of God is waiting to show up violently in your life to cast out the fear that you've been working with, but you're not connected with the right people. Now, this ain't on my notes, but I know some of the people y'all not connected with because they don't look like you want them to look. And because they don't look how you want them to look, because you got these letters behind your name, or you live in this different neighborhood, or you got this other stuff going on, you are disconnected, staying in a space that keeps you carrying a burden, looking through a lens, and believing that God made a mistake, has left you, disappointed you, when you need to be connected with the people that help uplift and remove the lens of spiritual dysmorphia. It is the distorted lens. So tonight, what we wanted to be able to do is to set the foundation in you all's hearts, to begin to understand that everything you have is everything you need. Everything you have right now is everything you need. Everything you have right now is everything you need. You have the power of your story. And your story does have some delays in it. But the beauty of the delays, it creates a more powerful story that then not only sets you, but the other person free. But until we can begin to see ourselves as God sees us, until we can get ourselves connected to his truth, his love, and his people, we will continue to carry the weight. Looking at life through a distorted lens will allow for us to be burnt out, frustrated, and wondering what's going to happen for us next. But we heard it tonight, and you're going to hear it continue throughout this weekend, that this is you all's moment to not leave the way you came. You want to know how I keep going, needing this dopamine hit in my spirit, go to the next conference, talk to the next people to make this thing work? Get connected to God's truth, God's love, and God's people. Let's put your hands together. We getting ready to get out of here.